Okay, so you can get an idea as I flip through the pages here how much text and how much commentary. And I know that's always a really big thing, especially for me whenever I look at a study Bible. High priest garments. Whenever I'm evaluating a study Bible, I always compare the amount of text versus the amount of commentary. And some sections it's sparse, and some sections there's a lot. Notice here in Leviticus, there's hardly any commentary. But of course, on average, I would say it's probably half a page of text and half a page of commentary, like you see here. This is the book of Acts. Anyway, some sections in the Old Testament don't have nearly as much, but it's definitely as much as the other study Bibles you'll find. The NLT study Bible, this probably has more commentary. The HCSB study Bible might be about equivalent in the amount of commentary that they have, but it beats the heck out of some of the other study Bibles that you have, some of the older study Bibles that you come across. For instance, some sections in my Ryrie study Bible. Ryrie is a great study Bible, especially if you like the King James Version. It's literally your only choice. But you can see when you come to a lot of different sections, there just is not as much commentary there. And there's black and white map. Anyway, Words of Christ in red. Like we were showing before, in the Old Testament, a lot of sections just barely have anything at the bottom. However, this is a really good study Bible in the King James Version. I don't want to undersell it. Ryrie is pretty good. Okay, so back to the ESV. Okay, we were looking through the different sections here. We have little maps, big maps, pictures, all the stuff you would expect to find in a good study Bible. Jerusalem in the time of Solomon. Okay. Here's the text on both of these pages, and then all this is the extra. I like that feature too. It takes time to break down things that are difficult, especially Solomon's temple. Here we go. Solomon's temple. A whole page. Full color, very detailed, and it tells you a lot of good stuff about the different pieces that were inside the temple. Here's a layout again. There's the bronze basin. Does a good job of showing you what those look like. Ark of the Covenant and that sort of thing too. First Kings we're at here. Hopefully you're getting a good feel for what's inside. I know it's very helpful to always be able to look through a Bible before you purchase it, especially if you're going to spend a lot of money and get one of the really nice editions. They sell the ESV study Bible in a calfskin edition. I'd love to have one. They're really expensive, but probably will last you long time, especially if you use it a lot. And I think this study Bible definitely is going to be one of the main resources that you go to a lot. Here's Ezra. I know we took some time to look at the beginning of Ezra in the HCSB study Bible, so I'll show it here too. Author, title, theme, purpose, occasion, background, chronology of Ezra. That's important. It's hard to figure that out sometimes. Key themes, summary of salvation. Here's a map of the area, the Persian Empire at the time of Ezra, Babylonia, and the trips they made back and forth, and that sort of thing. Literary features, and then in the outline, here's a large map showing the cities of Judea, since they're discussed a lot in the book of Ezra. Here's Jerusalem at the time of Zerubbabel, so you can see how Jerusalem kind of changed and evolved throughout the years, and it comes up again a couple more times in this study Bible. Here's Zerubbabel's temple, or at least what they think it looked like, I should say. Nehemiah, Okay, so that gives you a good flavor of the Old Testament. Let's skip ahead to the intertestamental period. Here's Daniel. This is giving you a good idea in Daniel about how to interpret what's going on here. We have the 70 weeks of Daniel 9, and it shows you how you can break them up. If you take the Maccabean view, the dispensational view, the preterist view, and the covenant view, or the futurist view, and how they would be divided based on these historical events, what they mean in these different interpretations. Really helpful and relatively impartial, I would say. Rulers foretold in Daniel 11. Rulers of Syria, Judea, and Egypt after Alexander the Great. Daniel can be a tough book, so all the help you can get on that is better. The Day of the Lord and the Prophets. Obadiah, Micah. Let's go back there a second. Here's the city of Nineveh for a study of Jonah. City of Nineveh there. Background to the New Testament. This is the intertestamental period. Here's the end of Malachi. And so I'll show you what's in between the testaments here. The time between the testaments. Sources of information, the Apocrypha and Pseudepigrapha. History, Hellenistic period. It's giving you some dates here. Hasmonean, Maccabean period, Roman period, adjustment after 586. Conclusion. This is valuable information here that you don't find in most books, and honestly people that have been Christians for a number of years have no idea what happened in between the testaments, and I think that's a shame because there's a lot of stuff that helps you understand the New Testament better if you understand what happened between the testaments. Jewish and Roman rulers, who they are, how long they lasted or ruled, and so we have dates in this column. And then we have the Roman emperors corresponding to these different dates. Roman prefects, procurators of all Israel, and this is just Judea and Samaria. Herodian dynasty again, and Jewish high priests. So it really helps you see who was where and what was going on at these different times. Intertestamental events timeline. So this tells you about all the different things that are happening. Epicurus founds the garden, an egalitarian community based upon friendship. Seleucids gain control over Judea. Antiochus III the Great and the Seleucids are defeated by the Romans. The Seleucid king Antiochus IV Epiphanes, etc., etc. Judas Maccabeus, the Zadokite priest Onias IV migrates to Egypt. The Hasmonean king John Hyrcanus first destroys the Samaritan temple. Julius Caesar is murdered. It gives you all the information that you kind of need to know in order to build this timeline in your mind, leading all the way up to Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth is born. Herod the Great dies. Notice they place that at 5 BC, Jesus' birth. And then it says denotes an approximate date. So there will be discussion about that as we progress. Here's a breakdown of the Herodian dynasty. Who they are, who they fathered, genealogy, that sort of thing. The Roman Empire and the Greco-Roman world at the time of the New Testament. Now you've probably noticed already we've covered a lot more stuff that's in even most study Bibles in the intertestamental period, which I think is great. History, rise of the Roman Empire, when they acquired different pieces of territory, that sort of thing. First Jewish revolt with maps. Jewish groups at the time of the New Testament. Sadducees, Essenes, Pharisees. Important stuff to help you make sense of what's going to happen here in the New Testament. So here we are at the New Testament. And immediately we start a whole nother series of articles. The Theology of the New Testament. how to think about what's going to happen. Here's a little timeline. The already and the not yet of the last days. The New Testament restructuring of the Old Testament expectation of the last days. Christ's return and that sort of thing. New Testament timeline, similar to what we had in the intertestamental period. The date of Jesus' crucifixion. Pretty good article. Definitely gave me some information that I had difficulty finding in other places. I looked at a number of different resources when I had this question and didn't find this concise information in one place like you have here. Reading the Gospels and Acts, what genre they are, the different distinctives and perspectives about how to interpret it, what you're reading. And then the Gospel according to Matthew, author, date, theme, purpose, occasion, background, timeline. I like that feature. Allows you to see how long, what periods of time, what happened, what overlaps. History and summary of salvation, literary features, key themes, and then the outline, as well as a map of the setting of Matthew. And that gets you right into it. And you can see as I'm flipping the pages here how much commentary to text. You can't see the line quite as well, but it's nearly half and half, I would say. On average, it's half and half, especially through the New Testament. The 12 apostles, the different places in the New Testament where it lists them, who they are, how they're kind of related, if they are related, what their professions are, and that sort of thing. Okay, I know you can get a lot of this stuff online, so definitely check out those PDFs. It'll give you a much clearer picture probably than what I can do with this. Here is Jerusalem in the time of Jesus. So you noticed we saw Jerusalem earlier on back here, and we've seen it kind of evolve and grow, and that leads us up to Jerusalem at the time of Jesus, and a very good breakdown of different things throughout the city and what happened there and some different biblical references. Pretty cool feature. The Last Supper. Here's the book of Mark. So let's skip ahead and look at some of Paul's letters. Book of Romans. First Corinthians. Here's a map of Corinth at the time of Paul. A map of the entire setting. Okay, so this other stuff is pretty standard. Oh, there's a sheet of paper I had. Philippians, 1 Thessalonians, 1 Timothy, false teaching and teachers, how to deal with them. Qualifications for elders in 1 Timothy compared to Titus. Also includes different word studies in the commentary under the different text, but it doesn't include like a little snapshot box like HCSB has, where it shows you the word, how it's translated, how it's used, and that sort of thing. Instead, it just includes information about that in the commentary, which is okay for me. Here's the book of James here. 1 Peter, 1 John. Okay, let's look at the beginning of Revelation. And I'll show you the extensive introduction that it has to the book of Revelation here.